Darren G's responses are highlighted in grey. James's are in the white circle boxes, oblongs. First screenshot says, "These rats who target," that's by Darren. "That's why always send to you first." James. "Make contact first," Darren. As get few messages like that, but again, could be anyone. Okay, Neon, bro. Darren says, "Martin's podcast shipmate built it up for nothing, mate." James says, "Hoping part 2 better." Darren says, "I'm not watching, lad." Next screenshot. Messy move what he done there, fooling everyone to subscribe, then not giving them what they came for. Messy, but that's his way, lad. So Darren is referring to the podcast I did with Marvin Herbert. He clickbaited it as if he was exposing me when the whole thing had been fully agreed with Marvin. But then a few weeks later, he started putting out videos saying he'd exposed me because so many people were asking him, "Why the hell did you not do what you promised?" So he just went down that road anyway, even though there was nothing to expose. James says, "Ours will hit over 500 first week." His flow. So I think James is referring to part 3 with Darren. It will get 500,000 views in the first week. That's my interpretation of that. James knows when he brings Darren in to attack me, it's going to get massive views, and he's hoping that it's going to knock me down, my reputation down, and it's going to boost his own so he can rise up in the podcast world. So James puts some smiley faces after Darren says, "I'm not going near it, lad." And then adds, "You know I am the podcast king, brother." No ego at all there, but that gives the motive. He wants to be the podcast king desperately, specifying indicating what his motive is, his ego. That's the whole motive behind the 2 massive attacks James English has launched against me. And his little. Then there's a few jokes about farts. "You the wind king, bro. A lot of farts last weekend, bro. No more KFC for you." Darren says, "James, how are you, mate?" Oh, this was 21st of December, 2020. "My passport is not happening, mate, so I won't be going on your drink trip." So James had planned to take a number of his most popular guests on a trip, literally. It's weird because the woman who's just been knocked back has just done 3 of his people and they was sweet. It took 4 days for me to get the refusal. Not sure what that means. "Happening, bro," James says. "Were you and Michael?" "It was minutes, just in the house." It's bullshit, haha, exposing himself further. "Merry Christmas, bro," James says. "Hope you have a great day." "And you, lad, you had your dinner and a drink?" "Haha, I don't drink, bro. You had much?" "In a minute, mate. Got the coach at 3:20, landed at 6. Been here with kids. Back home later, coach." That's Darren. "Have a belter, brother. Chat tomorrow." Fists, high fives, Santa hats, bro. So James English and is saying that Darren is his brother. Someone just tagged us in Twitter. This is 26th of December. Now, here's where it starts. This is where the manipulation starts. So James is sending Darren a copy of my original charge sheet. And he has highlighted the word minor, without explaining to Darren that this charge pertains to Wild Woman's 16-year-old son answering her phone and then passing it to Wild Woman and her doing a drug transaction. That was one of the charges. The other charge was Wild Woman's 16-year-old son using her phone to buy weed. And at the end of this video, you will hear Wild Woman describe exactly the nature of these charges. So without explaining the context of the charges, James English highlights minor on this charge sheet to make it look like something particularly insidious. Darren responds with, "I effing knew it, lad." So he's took the bait. James says, "You did, bro. Yeah, that's his charge sheet. He pleaded to the drugs and other charges were dropped. Then Darren says a word to describe the kind of person who would engage in insidious activity. So he can't chat poo now. So James confirms what Darren has just said. Darren believes that these are the charges committed by the worst kind of people in society, and James says, "You called it, bro. He's fucked now." And then Darren says, "Let's see what unfolds. Leave them to it now, lad." James says, "Exactly, bro." Then something about Ben Spann sent the email, not Ray Atwood. "What's that, bro?" And then James says, "I put this out yesterday," as in me, but he uses a derogatory term. And then Darren says, "F him." James says, "Exactly, bro." Darren says, "And his circle." Darkness. So James is telling Darren, "I'm part of a dark circle." You often hear Darren talking about this circle of dark people who engage in insidious behavior. And you can see here James feeding these scenarios to Darren. And there are some names mentioned there. I'm not going to mention them. I don't want to embroil them in drama. So that shit's messy, bro. Chat to you later, lad. Darren says, "Too messy, bro. I'm not getting involved, man." He's saying he's not getting involved, but he's had Darren on his podcast to absolutely just destroy me, my reputation. So he's not getting involved, but he has initiated all this. "Said my bit, bro. I'm taking a step back. F them, bro. Okay, brother, enjoy the night." So Darren responds, "Mad deep." James says, "Stay back, man. Too much shite, bro. You have done your bit. Let it all crumble down on them all." They're saying he has 3 months, Darren says. 3 months for what? James says, "Before the ring is taken down." "James, you okay, lad?" "All good, bro. Had some mad messages today. Just effing about on phone. What about?" "Some mad shit. I've recorded all voice notes and messages, some mad names. Your name's not mentioned, but that Atwood shit, mate." So Darren's totally stirred up by this. The charge sheet was sent to completely mislead Darren. And I'm going to do another video about this now, asking for an apology from James English. It's now clear that James English, when he responded recently to stuff, he said that Darren and I had made all this up. It was a conspiracy theory that we had made up. And now Darren has completely decimated that claim by showing the actual conversations with James English to show that James English tricked Darren into believing I had nasty charges. He's also put clearly there, he's the biggest podcaster. There's the motive. There's the evidence. Draw your own conclusions. You're now going to get to see Wild Woman describing exactly the nature of those charges pertaining to her son using her phone. Not a good thing by any means, a 16-year-old using a phone to buy weed. You know, we don't want kids doing things like that. So, please watch the following. There's something else we need to clarify as well, because prosecutors pull very dirty tricks on people. Yes. And one of them is to charge them with things that sound really bad, but when you look at actually what happened. So, if you're in a conspiracy case, you're liable for everything all the other co-conspirators do. And several of us ended up with a charge that involved a minor. Now, you hear the word minor and you think, oh, what the fuck?
Having kids on drugs.
Yeah, you know. No. And so I was charged with this. It's a class 2 felony. Wild Woman was charged with this.
I got 10 months for that.
But what actually happened was, in your own words,
my son had one of my phones and was hooking up his own weed on my phone, and he's not a minor in England. He's a minor over there, but he's not a minor in England. I don't class him as a minor at the time. And he was getting himself some weed, so I got the charge.
So Wild Woman's
Because he's under 21.
massive 16-year-old son used her phone
Yep.
to buy some
Well, I
weed.
gave him the phone and told him to do so.
So we all ended up, because it's a conspiracy case, we all ended up with a charge that they could
Yeah.
put minor on it that made it sound like we were
Yeah.
using school kids or going down the schools, on the corner of the schools, trying to peddle drugs. And nothing like that ever
Absolutely
happened.
never.
No.
No. I'll be having no part of that with kids anyway, no.
Well, thank you for clarifying that and
Yes.
putting that to rest, because these trolls, they try and look at your entire past and find little things that they can blow into big things so they can, like, try and take you down. And all these people who tried to take me down. I mean, Peter, for example, Wildman, when they first started trolling him, he was getting really furious and he was like, I'm going to find these fuckers and go to their
Can't be arsed with
houses.
them because the shit houses, they're behind a keyboard. If they can't do it to your face, why bother getting annoyed with them? Why waste energy on people like that? They're not worth the energy.
Cell warriors.
Keyboard warriors, that's what they are.
Absolutely.
If they can't knock on your door and go face to face with you and say, this is my issue with you,
Yeah,
well, fuck off.
exactly.
I don't care what you think. I don't care. If you think it's real or not, whoever you are, I don't give a monkey's fucking rat's ass.
Exactly.
I lived it, not them. I
Yes.
lived that. I
Yes.
went through that hell, not them.
Totally.
So they can comment all they fucking want.
Yeah,
It's a load of shite.
yeah. Well said. Now, sometimes you give a disproportionate amount of attention to the trolls when it's nothing but love and support coming in all day long on the platform, which it is. And I'm sure we're going to see that in the comments with Wild Woman. So what do you say, Kerry, to all of our loyal supporters out there, all the people who've read the books and are familiar with your story, or the people who've just heard it today and have got your back and are just, blown away by what you've been through? And perhaps in particular, what do you say to the young people watching this? Because we do have a massive young people audience who may be tempted into drugs.
Well, I'd talk them way out of it if I could, because it's not all it cracks up to be at all. And prison and jail is nothing nice, especially for females.
And you're going to find that out in part 2.
Yeah, it's nothing nice.